Now, I suspect that everyone in this room today has a problem that you're facing at work, at home, for which you're searching for a solution. Hopefully an effective and an innovative solution. So here's a question I have for you. How confident are you in your abilities to come up with creative and innovative solutions? Or let's push it a little farther. Do you know how to think outside the box? To be able to produce innovative, even disruptive ideas for new products, services, or businesses? So if you're like most people, that question makes you squirm because you probably feel uncomfortable with your own abilities. In fact, most of us stand in awe of these visionary founders like Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, who seem to be able to be creative and seem to be able to follow the Apple mantra, which is to think different. And so one of the issues that we wanted to understand and address in the Innovators DNA research project was to understand, how do business innovators think different? How does Steve Jobs think different? How does Jeff Bezos think different? And are there any lessons for the rest of us? So Hal Gregerson, co-author Clay Christensen, and I began a project some years ago to try and identify a set of business innovators that we could study. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to understand the moment that they came up with their innovative business ideas and understand everything we could about what contributed to the creation or the genesis of that idea. How did Jeff Bezos come up with the idea for Amazon? How did Mike Lazaridis come up with the idea for the BlackBerry? How did Pierre Omidyar come up with the idea? What were they doing? What were they thinking? What did they think seemed to contribute to their ability to come up with this idea in the first place? So what we were interested in then is to really understand someone like Steve Jobs. How does Steve Jobs think different? But more broadly, if we think about a whole class of disruptive innovators, business innovators that we admire, and even business innovators who have failed, because we have a large set of actually failed innovators in our sample, we wanted to try and understand, how do they think different? And what we're hoping is that if we understand something about how they think different, then we might be able to answer the question, how could I think different? So let's start with this notion of what does it mean to actually sort of think different or be creative? What's the process? We think of creativity as a cognitive skill. Creativity happens in the brain. And it's often referred to as right brain thinking, because this is the notion of it being more intuitive in the right brain. Creative thinking, lateral thinking, associational thinking. Today I'm going to use the term associating to refer to this cognitive skill of synthesizing sort of novel inputs and perhaps connecting them in new ways. So let's just sort of think about how this works. So if we think about associating, I'm going to have you look at a few items that are appearing here on the screen. We've got a hard drive, an internet symbol, music, a computer, and a lock. Now, if you're engaged in associating, how do you connect those to create a new product? What's the product I'm thinking about? Yeah, it would actually be iPod and the iTunes. Now, many of you understand the notion of the mini hard drive was important to get all of the songs on there, and you needed the internet to get it to the computer and to get the music on the iPod. What about the lock? The lock was part of the inspiration for the flywheel design to navigate this little device. One of the innovations of the iPod was this sort of flywheel design, and they also liked the brushed metal look of the lock, which they used on the outside of the early iPods. Okay, so let's look at an example in a Dairy Queen commercial of associating.
Hey, Johnny.
Okay, associating. The gentleman's in the park. He sees someone, playing this instrument. He has a problem to solve. He wants to eat hands-free, right? So he sees an idea in one context, he brings it and pulls it into another context, and now he can eat his burger and still be doing other things. That's the way associating happens. We often see something in one context and we connect it somewhere else where it hasn't been used before, and then it seems to be novel or creative. Oops. Steve Jobs has said, creativity is connecting things. When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. And that's because they were able to connect experiences they've had and synthesize new things. What if you've had no experiences? You have nothing to synthesize. So this notion of experience is critical to associational thinking. But it also can be, this is a skill that actually can be learned a bit and practiced. So associating is the ability to see connections between seemingly unrelated ideas. So now it's your turn. I'm going to have us have an opportunity to practice associational thinking. This is called forced associations. Let's imagine that we want to come up with some new innovative features for a dishwasher. And instead of just brainstorming, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you look at a microwave or think about a microwave and the features of a microwave. And ask yourself, what if we could take some of those features and connect them to a dishwasher? How could we come up with some new innovative ideas, features for the dishwasher? All right, go. Who's got an idea? Yes?
No water.
No water. How do you do it with no water?
Well, you invent a way to remove whatever is dirty without it.
Okay, so we may not know yet, but could we do it with no water? Maybe there's sort of a way that you could use that could sanitize. And in no water environments, this could actually be a breakthrough that you could actually sanitize things without water. Good. What else?
Make it smaller.
Okay, obviously you could make it smaller. If you needed something that was smaller, you could do a few dishes. What else? Speed. 1 minute wash. 2 minute wash. Like that baked potato, right? Instead, you just do the very quick wash. Yes?
The turntable.
The turntable. Maybe you have things turn inside the dishwasher. The water is then able to clean it more effectively, more quickly, because you have the turntable. Yes?
One would wash and cook.
Okay, very good. Maybe you throw those vegetables in there and they steam and they cook at the same time, right? All right, so we could do this for a while. But in a matter of 1 minute, through this forced association technique, we've been able to generate some pretty innovative ideas for a dishwasher. And in fact, if you think about the Breva InSync dishwasher, this is actually a Whirlpool product, I believe. This is a great design for double-income, no-kid apartment dwellers in big cities, right? Because you can throw those dishes in, and the feature I love the best, you don't ever have to put the dishes away, right? You just close that thing. It's right there in the sink. Never have to put the dishes away. Small, easy. Let me show you another example. This is the EdgeStar countertop dishwasher. Most of us would, if we saw that, would have thought it was a microwave, right? So this is the idea of associating. Another way to do it, and I've done this in some consulting arrangements, I used to work for Bain & Company years ago, was play the game, what if they married? What if they merged? Disney, Apple, what if they merged? Now, I'm sure you can think of a variety of ways that they might create new value together. But a couple that have come up, even just in my family with my kids, because we have a Marriott timeshare, is, I just wish they had a Tower of Terror ride in one of the elevator shafts, right? Wouldn't that be so cool if they had one of those? Or soaring over California or wherever, one of those rides. Or if we could only have lunch with the Disney princesses here like we can at Disneyland, or themed rooms, or there's so many different ways you could think of connecting what goes on at Disney and bringing it to Marriott. Or alternatively, let's throw Apple into the mix. Wow, wouldn't it be cool to be able to check into that room at a Marriott with a preloaded iPod for kids of different ages that have Disney TV shows, Disney movies, all of that stuff, and you go into your Apple room and it's all Apple technology and virtual technology with a variety of things you could do in your room. Right? This is all associational thinking. You can do this as a way to get better at this skill of associating. Now, why are some people better at associating? The answer, or at least the answer that most of us believe is true, is it's genetic. We've learned about right-brained and left-brained. You're either right-brained, you're over here in the flowers and the trees, in the grass, having a good time being intuitive, or you're over here on the left side and you're in those gray cubicles and the head's down and you're a logical linear thinker. Some people got it, some people don't. And the fact of the matter is, it's not really true.